Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. I'm Atlas. I'm joined by LS for what are 5 more matches to go of the regular season. We are very, very close to joining the rest of the world in playoffs. I don't believe LPL's there yet, but of course, Europe and North America are well and truly into it, and we want to be there as well, and that is going to be happening very soon. But still, we have 5 more matches to go, 3 of them happening here today. The beautiful 3 best-of-3 day, and I'm just really happy to have you by my side, LS, at least on the internet.
Right,
you're not actually here.
Yeah, I'm not actually. Contrary to the photo, we are not currently holding hands. So
yeah,
that's
although
not
we
something that's
haven't we been moved a little? We've been moved a little. It's
We're a
not
little
overlapping
closer.
anymore.
Yeah.
We've been taken away, but I like to think that we're still holding hands. As these are the standings, and there's a few of these teams that are going to be playing today as well to work out who's going to be towards the top and who's going to be towards the bottom. Because Sandbox, they need to win against Dam1 Gaming if they're going to stand a chance of escaping the relegation zone. This is crunch time for this team. And theoretically, they can do it. APK with still a game to play, Harm or Life in the same boat. But they're going to have to lose, and Sandbox are going to have to win. Sandbox just has to win this game.
Yeah, Sandbox, they need to win today's series. Now, Gen.G, well, Hog standings, as you know the deal today, Atlas.
We're shilling.
Yeah,
we're shilling hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
I don't even know how we're supposed. I think we just have to make sure we never vote for B2D, right? That's got to be what we do. Just give them all to Clid. It's like, oh, yeah. I thought it was the other guy. They look so similar.
I'm already putting down Rascal in the group message.
Well, interestingly enough, Rascal really has been dropping in performance. I felt a bit silly. I watched the Pog State again and went on a little bit of a rant about Rascal and how good he was. But in his last series, he barely managed to show up. So very much looking forward to seeing him turn around that performance and really figure some stuff out as they get onto the Rift. Because, yeah, it is crunch time right now. And if Gen.G want that top spot, they have to win here and they have to win strong.
Yeah, they need to win, and this is honestly, it's a little neck and neck with all 3 of these teams. So if Gen.G loses and Dragon X wins and T1 wins, everything sort of flops, or flip-flops. If Gen.G and DRX both lose and T1 wins, T1 clinches first. Have we ever had this close of a top 3 all potentially getting first and getting that first seed into the playoffs? I don't think so.
It's been a really long time. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing comes to mind when it comes to a top 3 like this, and I'm very excited to see how it actually all unfolds. As also KT are looking to separate themselves from Dam1, get themselves in good standing. Currently basically locked in 4th place. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to be moving. Theoretically, Afrika can still knock down Dam1, assuming Afrika can beat T1 and Dam1 loses to Sandbox. Actually, no, they can't. Never mind. That is all locked. So, never you mind. We are going to have 10.7 upon us, though, ladies and gentlemen. And Wukong and Fiddlesticks are going to be globally banned. So, we don't need to worry about those. I don't know. Wait a second. Why are we highlighting Fiddlesticks' amputated abilities when he's not allowed to be played? I don't really know. But now we can finally talk about the magic shield on Galio's ult. Isn't this exciting?
That's a really big one, actually. Even the Ivern buffs as well as the Nasus. I thought 10-6 was locked globally.
That's what I thought too. I actually didn't. I wasn't expecting this at all. We are as surprised as you guys are at home at 10-7. So excited to see what's going to happen here as far as the change-ups, because already Kai'Sa was slipping into the meta. Galio was definitely in the meta, as was Akali. So these champions getting buffed means that they're only going to be further solidified. And it might mean that the bans are really interesting, because I don't know whether we're going to be like banning out those 480 carries like we would normally. And we'll have to see how it changes everything as we move into our final 5 matches.
Yeah, I mean, the Galio change, we've already been seeing him a little bit inside of the split. In some of the recent weeks, he's been coming in as an answer to some mid lane matchups. The champions that are all on the bottom, not really expecting to see them, even though they did get some pretty good changes. Kai'Sa, another champion that has been popping up a lot lately, as well as Akali. So clearly that's probably why they are highlighted there at the top. And I feel like we could see Galio actually just come out here today, even though his buff might not be that applicable in the game, because again, it's only the magic resistance shield that's granted over. Champion nerfs. Nocturne not really going to do anything. This isn't EU, and Vedius is not in the game. As
he is not.
Garen, he's not here. Garen, Talon, and Wukong are also here. And obviously Wukong is going to be disabled. Talon and Garen, we haven't been seeing them. Anyway, conditioning, I don't believe many people take this rune. That's another rune that we don't really see in Korea. We see it a little bit in the LCS and the LEC. Phase Rush did get a bust, but I don't think, again, that it's likely to be seen, at least in terms of how it was buffed for the Melee champions.
I don't think it's going to change who's going to take Phase Rush. If you were already going to take Phase Rush, you were still going to take Phase Rush, right? But it's still a good quality of life change for the Phase Rush users around the world, and we'll see whether that helps bring back some of our, favorite Phase Rushes that haven't necessarily been seeing as much play, such as the Rise and things like that. But only time will tell. As the champion's nerfed, entirely irrelevant, and I think that it's only the buffs that are really going to come into play, which I actually find really fun. I think, nerfing strong stuff so that you can let everything else try and catch up, and you have the strong stuff be less fun. I don't think that's as cool as buffing other things to really mix up what's at the top of the table. So I like that. It's a little bit of a philosophy taken from a different MOBA that we're not going to mention here. As we are going to go into our first match. So points of the match for Gen.G versus KT. This is a big one. Harmwa Life's Butterfly Effect is a really interesting way to start it off. First place competition is total chaos. If Gen.G wins, they head to the finals, but if they lose, they fall to third place. And of course, that can once again be picked back up again by T1 if they lose to Afrika, and DRX if they lose to APK. So theoretically, the hierarchy is Gen.G has the hardest match here, they should still win. T1 has the less hard match, they should win. And DRX has a match that if they don't win, everyone who is a fan of that team should definitely stop. Because it's not okay to continue down this road of inconsistency for DRX, and if they lose to APK, then that is a disaster for this team.
Well, some T1 fans are probably a little bit upset at the third point, by the way. Ruler, lots of blunders in his last series. Can he expect to do well against the best ADC in the West Side bracket? Well, Teddy just he got a little angry.
Best? Is that what we're saying? Aiming?
That's what the points of the match said.
Well, I mean, statistically, I think he's definitely up there.
He's doing pretty good.
On the Eastern side, I don't think he really stands up to Hybrid's stats necessarily, but we'll see. Having a look at some of the stats here as far as teams are concerned, the average loss time, Gen.G take a long time to lose. That is definitely a thing. And team goal difference at 15. This is where KT has been slumping. When they were in their dream run, that was a stat that was definitely very, very high. But now, Gen.G seem to have control over it, as Kellen is going to be moving into the support role. We saw their last match that was a bit of a disaster on Gen.G's side. That was all with life. So maybe Kellen's going to be the one that can really bring things back around for Gen.G. But I think the top side really was where things started to fall down. That was where we started, the gangplank was falling off the ship, and all the passengers were falling out. That's sort of how it worked.
Well, no surprise on the lineup for KT. Now, actually, I want to go back to one of the points that was brought up earlier. I said that Riven changes probably wouldn't mean anything. So on, I believe,
he's a one trick.
His claim to fame actually was a Riven. He was being a Riven one trick, or predominantly a Riven player back in the day when he initially came out. So when a lot of people think of Korean Rivens, he's actually one of the first people that you think of. Although maybe,
apart from the Shy. We definitely need to think of the Shy first, but then it would be so on, in my mind. I completely agree with you.
So maybe, given that they are on red side, and Riven really likes to pick and choose her matchups, not just in isolation in the top lane, but also the team compositions, we could maybe see her come out there again. Key player matchup, however, going to be Ruler versus Aiming. And Aiming does have some pretty good stats.
Yeah, he's pretty damn impressive. And falling down to, as far as damage percent is concerned, number one in that role is, of course, Hybrid. He also has the highest DPM, highest KDA, so Hybrid certainly got a lot of these first places. But the fact that Ruler still manages to do more damage than Aiming when aiming has close to a 90% kill participation is absolutely insane. Because it shows that Gen.G have been going to late game more, and they're able to play around Ruler, even if the early game isn't necessarily about that. And that is due to BDD and Clid really controlling the early game. And they're going to have to continue doing so here today, because otherwise, you're going to have this gentleman right here really take over. And so we'll just have to see what Gen.G can actually do to try and mitigate aiming's performance. And aiming wouldn't be anything without Tucson there on the bottom side as well. And with Gen.G switching up their support so often, I think this does help give KT a bit of an edge also, because Tucson and aiming have been so stable.
Well, looks like first ban of the game is going to be Trundle. Aphelios now getting hit, global ban there on the Wukong and the Fiddlesticks. Now, even if Fiddlesticks was open here, I'm pretty sure no one would play him.
Yeah.
Wukong, however, definitely would have gotten some love and attention.
Been seeing him a bit in the LPL. Certainly is a bit of a silly pick, to be perfectly honest. How do you feel about the old Black Cleaver Trinity Force style of play? It really bothers me, overriding the Rage passive. It just makes me upset. I feel like there is a lack of synergy there, but it does seem to be what everyone's going towards.
I think it gives him everything that he wants in his kit, and I think it synergizes really well. He's not really always looking to utilize something like Blade of the Ruin King as like an early item, so there's a limited range of options that he has available to him. And the Trinity Force Black Cleaver, we've seen it on other champions as well popping up lately, so I think Wukong utilizes all the passives of the items pretty well. And yeah, you're right about the Rage passive, but sometimes champions, they'll neglect a certain feature of an item, much like Set, who doesn't use mana, but he builds Trinity Force.
Yeah, well, Gen.G are going to lock away the Kalista here, looking for that Kalista Taric on the bottom side. Kellen is a pretty practiced Taric player, actually. Was even on his former team, was playing a fair bit of Taric, even when it was a little bit off meta, so I do like the idea of going for this one. KT probably considering something like a Varus here, but we'll see whether they do attempt to steal away the Taric that Tucson does like a lot. Because Bono's pick is going to be where things get really interesting, because does he lock away the Jarvan like he always wants to, or do they try to deny the Kalista Taric? That is going to be the question here.
Well, see if they do pick it up. Varus, he can get a lot of value by getting counter pick support with him to really just control the pacing of his lane. Jungler pick here on R2 probably make a lot more sense now. The Sejuani's coming in blind. Interestingly, this is the Ivern patch. We're probably not going to see it, but I do just want to spit it out there. Ivern, historically, really good answer to Sejuani.
Also trying to remember back to whether Clid played the Ivern when he was in the LPL. I don't think so, but I don't know. I didn't watch enough of Clid's games back in the day. Was now about a year and a half ago, so it's been a while. As now we're going to have Gen.G locking away the set. This will mean that it's a solo lane set, as the Taric has already been locked in, and now KT can look to get some sort of counter pick here if they'd like to, unless they want to just lock away the Azir. Sejuani Azir is certainly a prized combo here for KT, but instead it looks like the bottom lane is just going to be shored up with this Braum pick.
Well, they're going to take that, they're going to pair the Braum and the Sejuani together with that Varus, but as it stands right now, the raw on engage and the short range on the side of KT, because that's not likely to be a lethality Varus, means that they're running into Kalista, they're enabling her more. Set has 2 targets as it currently stands. Taric ultimate is invalidating what KT's trying to achieve right now. So as we move into the second pick ban, you have to be feeling really comfortable if you're a Gen.G fan. Gen.G, they ban away the Aatrox, which is a bit surprising, because I would imagine that something like Aurelia would be more so on the chopping block, because Set does pretty good against Aatrox, even though people opt to take the champion against him. But if you let KT pick him, you're bolstering the effectiveness of your Taric, of your Set, and even Kalista really good against him in the later stages.
Yeah, I think it is a bit curious, is now Gen.G thinking about what they're going to ban away next. Could be a mid laner. I wouldn't mind seeing, yeah, okay. Yeah. The Zillions is all right. And Kuru not going to be on that one, as now Kuru was our big Galio player. And this is a composition that could work with a Galio, but this is what the composition has looked like it's been building around, and the Azir does make a lot of sense. Sort of a more comfortable blind mid laner, but nothing's really comfortable into B2D, and we'll see what his answer is going to be, as that's the Jace locked away. A flex pick here between Soan and Kuro. Might be some mind games played by KT, because you know that Kuro is sitting on that Vel'Koz pick, and their Vel'Koz composition actually works pretty well. With the Varus there able to lock down targets for the Disintegration Ray, and Bono and Tucson being able to peel relatively effectively, as there is the Sylas. Oh my god, is it happening? He gets released in TFT and then immediately gets played in the LCK?
I think it might be happening. They're hovering it.
Nah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be the Vel'Koz.
Okay,
it's gotta be the Vel'Koz. Perfect.
Vel'Koz ends up getting locked in. Xerath almost looked like he was going to get locked in. I've talked about that a lot in recent weeks. A joke saying that we would see it in the LEC finals. But
I mean, that was like the old matchup. Even before Corki Azir was the thing that took over, it was always Xerath versus Azir, like the Shurima battle in the mid lane. Now we've got Void versus Shurima, and we'll see who's going to be able to make things work better, because this pink eye of Sauron is really able to do some pretty good things into the Pigeon Man.
Yeah. And as it stands right now, Gen.G with Set, Sylas, Azir, Kalista, and Taric versus KT's Jace, Sejuani, Vel'Koz, Varus, and Braum. The one champion that sticks out a bit like a sore thumb is the Jace. He is able to put a lot of damage onto some of Gen.G's members, but Taric there going to be able to heal some stuff back up, and he's the champ that seems a little bit out of tune with just protecting the Vel'Koz, and I'm curious to see if Aiming's actually going to go lethality here to
yeah,
sort
I'm
of try to
actually
be a
interested about that too.
comp. And these are very interesting team compositions. I think the edge goes to Gen.G just because there's some off theme on the side of KT. The Jace is very out of tune, and the Vel'Koz, while he is really strong, Sylas is there too, and getting a hold of the ultimate and so many other key ultimates there, I think it's going to be really hard in the later stages to really reliably protect Kuro.
Yeah, that's going to be what it's all about here, as we've got some emote spam onto the Rift here for game number 1 of our first best of 3 of our final 3 best of 3 day of the regular season. Only 4 more matches after this, guys, and we are still with no idea who's going to take that top spot. Theoretically, it should be Gen.G, because theoretically they should win this game, T1 should win, and then DRX should win, as Aiming's found Ruler off to the side. But this is the biggest one. This is where Gen.G could really trip up, and Kuro is going to walk in and find clear. There's some autos coming down here. Tucson going to come in, but Ruler going to take the worst end of that trade as Hail of Arrows comes down. And Bono now going to put a ward down and then head home, I believe. I think his ward's down. No, it's not. Where did he put it? He put it north.
A little, so there's some stuff that's really peculiar here. First is the Glacial Augment on the Vel'Koz. So he's going to be going for the Glacial items. But the reason that that's so surprising is because he can't reliably auto-attack the Azir. And in the later stages, he's going to be struggling to reposition as it is, because Gen.G is going into KT, not the other way around. So I would have expected the Comet on the Vel'Koz, because they're just going to be poking. That's the way that Vel'Koz is going to play out the fight with the Jace. However, Scorch on VDD, we've located a Sinner Atlas.
Yep, and there's Sinners on both sides. Someone also sinning to high heaven. Up here on the top side does have that buffed phase rush, so we are going to see our first one here. As we'll just see how this Jace is going to fare in this lane. Of course, it was Sowan's pick of choice into the set. And we'll see how Rascals adjusted his play after a bit of a disappointing one last time around, where Cuvée really got the better of him over and over again. It's going to be fun to see as Kuro, lifetime LCK total 8-2 on the Vel'Koz. He's pretty good at this champion, guys.
Yep. 80% win rate. And we'll see what he can manage to do here. I mean, only a 12 KDA though, Atlas. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, why not 12.2 or something, you know? Like,
yeah,
should have tried a little bit harder.
We're not impressed yet. That's totally fine. As we've got a little bit of engage here towards the bottom side. Kellen not going to get stunned just yet. Walks into the brush, as now Ruler's going to turn it around once again. They're trying to get the stun here, but they're not going to be able to, as there's the Ren for some extra damage. Ruler and Kellen, 100% win rate so far on the Kalista Taric and the Ezreal Taric.
Yep. And Kellen and Ruler, they're just shoving in right here. Now, if they did this a little bit faster, they would have been able to get a cheater recall off. But I think as it stands, they're just going to maybe look for a dive instead because they have Clid in close proximity. This is a little risky.
I don't know how much they want this. As there's the flash. They're looking for aiming now, who does move himself out of the way. He should be taken down, but Clid very close to getting stunned, and Kuro late on the teleport, so they're going to lose even more off this one.
And you can see Azir in mid lane. He's going to try to crash the wave. Now, Bono is there in somewhat close proximity, but you can see BDD basically moving over to say, hey, you're not going to get any of the XP. You're not going to come in for the gold. And a little bit surprising. BDD didn't move over to the left-hand side to check on Scuttle. Maybe would have been able to deny it from the Sejuani, although I wasn't totally looking at Jace's position in the lane. And you take a look at aiming. It was a really nice flash away attempt, but he kept running really far away from the turret rather than just hugging it in proximity, maybe giving Kuro a little bit more time to perhaps be able to use his flash to follow up on something. So as it stands, Gen.G, they have 1 kill under their belt. Gold score at the top, though, is only 100 different, which is a little bit bizarre. So we'll have to see the CS everywhere. So
I guess a slight advantage here for So1.
Yeah, so So1 has an advantage, and also Kuro has a lot of CS, even though he teleported.
Very surprising, actually.
Yeah, BDD's missing a lot is the only thing I can imagine.
Well, these are some pretty good stats.
Yeah.
BDD sort of letting the team down a little bit here, but otherwise no one has lost. And Kuro 2-0 so far on this Vel'Koz, and So1 sitting at 2-0 as well. So very happy as far as those champions are concerned. And even Bono able to have a decent scoreline at the moment on the Sejuani, which is not necessarily his flavor of champion here in the LCK. Certainly is the Olaf Jarvan man. Azami and Tucson back in the lane, trying to get themselves back into position, but so far you've got Ruler and Kellen in great standing right now. Cull already in hand, and the lane is well and truly under their control.
Well, the emotes are available. Not quite the Pengu emote, but...
I actually really liked the Samsung Galaxy emote that Ruler was using. That is, that's a good throwback. Big fan. As of course, that is where the organization came from. Not called Samsung anymore, but still is very, very similar. They went from Samsung to KSV, now to Gen.G, which is a very different organization. Don't make as many phones on the side of Gen.G.
Oh. Speaking of Samsung and MVP, I made a tweet a little bit earlier about my early struggles on the Korean Peninsula.
Sounded very interesting.
Yeah, it was very rough, basically.
Living on $200 a month is something that I can only understand in the context of living in Korea. If that was in Australia, it's like, well, you could pay maybe half of a week's rent, you know, maybe.
So the old Samsung white and blue team did help me out a lot back in the day. Lived with them for 2 years. And yeah, so that was a bit of a throwback.
Yeah. Well, glad things have gotten better since then. Mr. LS has Tucson over to the side. Not going to be able to find anything. Has his blast cone taken away and is going to replace that controller that he put down before. Kuro going to be very comfortable clearing out these minions in the mid lane. Can just put down the Void Trench and everything is totally fine.
Everyone just really playing ping pong right now. Vel'Koz going to be able to shove in the wave. Azir almost back. Not going to miss too many minions. And Cloud Dragon being the first one of the game does mean that we should have an exciting dragon on our hands as we get a trade up here in the top lane. Not going to be
one out there by So1.
Yeah. And, okay. Bono here as well. This is a bit of a problem. And Rascal flashes left.
And does have the shield from that Haymaker, but not going to be able to find the kill. As So1 couldn't tank up the turret. And now Clid's going to be starting on this Cloud Drake. Thankfully, no Cloud Soul here today to start things off. Fantastic. As I believe last time around, there were like 1 million Cloud Souls all day. It was just awful.
It was super, super rough for teams that were maybe looking to really just end the game outright with a Soul Captor. This time around, Gen.G, they pick up the Cloud. It's going to be an Infernal second. They should be the ones that are still in the driver's seat by the time that second dragon comes up, so they'll get that. And then if you are Gen.G, against KT's team composition, both Ocean and Mountain are really obnoxious. I think that you can easily make an argument for Mountain to be really good because it would help invalidate the Jace, and it would also even hurt the Sejuani and the Varus, for instance, as they don't tend to build a lot of penetration, but Jace would really get hurt by opponents having little bits of extra armor than they should normally have inside of a team fight, and then Ocean does not need an introduction.
Yeah.
It is it's pretty imbalanced.
To be perfectly honest, though, Ocean is very abusable by poke compositions. And so if KT gets a hold of it, I know it's not going to be the lethality Varus, so they're not all in on the poke, but Kuro's just going to be able to spam for days. If they get a Cloud Soul, then, sorry, an Ocean Soul, then, you know, he throws down a couple of abilities, gets all of his health back, and they don't even need to worry about it. So as far as longevity, it's going to be very, very frightening. As Tucson and Aiming are just going to move into the mid lane here. We're looking at trying to take down the Rift Herald. As just going to clear out the minion wave. Kuro does so very, very easily. And now Bono has already started things up here. So we'll see what the trade is going to be. You can see already very far away from the turret is Ruler and Kellen. And Aiming and Tucson just going to move all the way back down. But on vision, as Gen.G not even going to approach this Rift Herald.
Well, KT does pick up the Rift Herald. I mean, they're going to most likely look to utilize that in mid. I can see a world where they will just plant it up in top lane with the Jace trying to accelerate him, but I think that would be a much weaker choice because without getting any chip damage onto Azir's turret, you're probably not going to be able to raise it without the assistance of either the second Rift Herald or something going catastrophically wrong in this game for Gen.G, because as it stands right now, both parties are just continuing to coast, and this is going to be pretty beneficial for Gen.G because they're going to pick up the Infernal Dragon most likely, as they should be in a pretty commanding position to do so. And then,
yeah, unless Bono can utilize this Rift Herald to put on pressure enough. It looks like he is going to plop it down here towards the top side. And I like the idea of getting it down before that Drake can be there as an answer. As someone's going to get a bunch of plates from this. Is BDD moving up towards the top side, but look at that. All of that plate gold coming in. And so on, not even going to miss out on too much as far as getting hit by that Haymaker is concerned as well. So very good news here for KT as far as getting in that extra money, but it's still a 600 gold lead approximately for Gen.G, and a lot of that is to do with the bottom lane and Ruler's 21 CS advantage.
Yeah. So everyone just continuing to play ping pong. Alice, as how was your morning?
It was lovely. I overslept a little bit, but I went and got myself a burrito, got back on track.
Okay.
And feeling real good. Feeling real good.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I actually had a burrito today too.
Did you really?
I really did,
my
actually,
God.
yeah.
Burrito synergy, I love it.
We're basically one and the same at this point.
Yeah. That's why we hold hands, because we know what to have for breakfast. That's how it works.
That's it. I mean, you literally found it. So, minute and a half until the Infernal Dragon is going to be coming up on this map. And there's not a whole lot to talk about from a strategical perspective. We have Bono, he's going to come in here, he's going to look to try to make something happen. There's no real camps up in the jungle, and so it's really all that he has to do, as the cleanse was utilized right there by Ruler.
Yeah, so able to get something, but wanting to get his flash more than anything else is KT. Is 1 minute's time, the Infernal Drake will be available. And currently KT with a fair bit of vision control here towards this area of the map, as BDD is going to have to move out of the way. Gets slowed down. Good knock-up attempt there, but Shifting Sands will get BDD out of the way. As Bono just scanning the rest of the map. And KT pretty happy to move their bottom lane around just to try and lock down objectives. It looks like this CS gap isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, because Aiming isn't even focusing on trying to pull that CS margin back.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really too unusual happening, as Rascal activates his W a little bit early, misses the face breaker.
Yeah, not a bad trade there from So-On.
Yeah.
Who does already have his Ghostblade completed.
He also has the teleport available. Rascal doesn't, but you can see that Bono, he's moving over to the left-hand side. I think they want to try to dive Rascal up here on this top turret, so we'll see what he can do with the face breaker as well as the body slam.
Well, ulti's going to go wide, as does everything else. As there's the ultimate out of Rascal, going to be utilized. Facebreaker comes in, So-On intelligently doesn't hit him, but now they're going to try and find it. Flash comes out, Shock Blast is going to pick it up. Cool guys don't look at explosions, but Gen.G will be able to take down the Infernal Drake, and that's going to be the trade for the top outer turret.
Yeah, so they're going to get the top outer turret. This Jace is going to get further ahead. You can see Sohan dancing a little bit, just waiting patiently for the next wave. He's there with Bono. They're going to get the first turret of the game. That's going to go over to them, but it's happening at a really early point, and now with Dragon down, Rift Herald down, this means that Rascal is going to be under no danger. There's no threat. So the Jace gets opened up. He has a lot of gold, but where is he really going to go? Can't go mid lane. You'll start sharing XP and gold, I guess, with Kuro, which is going to be a little bit dangerous. And at the end of this, let's take a look. So Bono whips his ultimate, and then Rascal has to flash to get the ult, and then doesn't chain the Facebreaker to pull the Sejuani back in. Almost manages to bring down Sohan. So pretty valiant effort. A little bit sloppy by KT. They end up getting the kill in the end. But the big picture is, what does Jace do now? He's going to constantly run back to top lane. There's not a real way for him to threaten the set anymore. And Gen.G having won out on the Infernal Dragon, they bring themselves 2 Drakes away from Soul Point. Things get really scary. The Kalista winning quite nicely down in bottom. Sylas continuing to power up. It's not that bad of a situation for Gen.G, even though KT have managed to get this Jace a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it's like, how much of a return on investment are you going to get with Jace being this big? And I see your point. It may not necessarily be enough here for KT to really get themselves any noticeable leads. But Sohan has been playing relatively well, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to take command of this early game, transition into a good mid game, and then take down some of these Ocean Drakes, because KT now have the option of stacking up 4 of them, and that would be absolutely terrifying. But they need to get map control bottom side, and that is where Gen.G is currently the strongest. That 21 CS lead is still there for Ruler. He now has his Blade of the Ruin King. It's been answered by Aiming's Blade, but he doesn't have the boots to go along with it. And of course, those boots are very, very powerful on the likes of Kallista's Cliff. Down here on the bottom side, they are going to clear out some of this vision, hijacking himself the Chains of Corruption. And now I don't think just a Braum is going to be enough to save this Varus, but looks like they're not going to go for any sort of dive attempt at this point in time.
Instead, we're just going to have some posturing going on. And we'll see what KT are thinking about doing here, as they are looking like,
And the chains not going to land there from Clid. He's got many of them as ult comes down from Tucson. Now we're trying to turn it. Disintegration Ray is going to land onto Kellen. I loved it. Go for the target that doesn't have the defensive ability, as now Rascal does eventually get the Haymaker. Showstopper comes into towards the backside, but Emperor's Divide does absolutely nothing. And KT have smashed this team fight so far. Tucson actually thought that maybe they were giving up, but Bono decides not to. Shock Blast is huge and so on. Locks down that kill. KT get everything and should be able to get here into the mid lane and really get some work done on this turret.
Yeah, they're going to actually manage to perforate the mid-tier 1. I'm a little perplexed as to why the team fight just happened, because there's no dragon. There's no, I mean, there's a Herald up, right? But the fight's occurring on the opposite side of the map. I don't know why Gen.G just opted into that team fight in the way that they did. And KT, they were in position to capitalize, and they just smacked Gen.G, and they swung themselves into a pretty advantageous position as it currently stands. Just take a look at this. Why is Kellen fighting over vision that isn't useful for 2 minutes? Click goes in, he misses the chain, but even if he hit it, there's no possible follow-up from that corridor. You have Jace coming in from the top side. Your set was trying to power up and farm on the top side. He teleports in. Sohan was already here. And then you see the Azir and the Sylas, they're still trying to fight, and it leaves me scratching my head, because this is really weird.
Well, split communication is what it looked like. Half of Gen.G wanted to disengage and the other half wanted to fight. And so Rascal, just off in his own world, decides that he wants to go in for something very aggressive and finds himself in amongst 5 people. BDD using his ultimate purely for disengage. And the Jace now 2-0-1, building towards his second lethality item. And this early game is in a great position here for KT. Aiming's even going to pick up the Rift Herald. And they're now going to be able to use that to keep knocking down these turrets. Gen.G still haven't taken anything as far as structures on this map.
And as it currently stands, it seems like it's going to be pretty hard for them to actually do so. I mean, Kallista's shoving in bottom, but Jace running down there. You can see the bot lane for KT. Braum ends up resetting. You can see Kuro coming over as well. He has the ultimate back up, and this is a very dangerous team fight for Gen.G, because you can see Ruler, no flash, BDD, no flash, Clid, no flash.
Whoa,
whereas
another
KT, they have
disintegration ray came
everything.
out. Yeah, Clid just got downloaded there, but not going to be standing in too much of that Ray. Now Bono looking over, not wanting to go for any engagement there. As soon as this poke lands, it's very scary. These shock blasts are really hurting in this mid game with the lethality Jace. And with the Ocean Drake live, I don't know whether Gen.G are in a good enough position to be able to lock that one down. Turret is going to fall there in the mid lane. It's going to be Shirley that picks that one up. But Gen.G, this is super dangerous if you are going to go for it. Of course, it is Ocean Soul Point, but I don't know if it's a fight that this team can necessarily win unless Rascal gets the god tier flank. As you can see, Kellen's just getting chunked here off to the side, as now Someone has found Rascal. And this might give KT an opportunity to go for a fight. Shades of Corruption do land as Clid has to get himself out of there. KT over in, looking for more as there's the Cosmic Radiance. Empress Divide is huge into the backline as the Showstopper comes down as well. Ulti's going to be traded, but it's Someone who gets into the backline and eliminates the Kalista before she can do anything. The Ocean Drake is still fighting and none of KT have gone down just yet. They'll take the Drake and now they're looking for more. Clid's going to go down. Someone having one of the best games of his career as he's just going to die. That is going to be just the ultimate caster curse, but that doesn't matter. They are going to get the ace and KT are dominating this game.
KT are completely choking Gen.G in this game number 1 as the kill score 2-9 right now. It's a 5,000 gold lead. They're the ones that pick up the Ocean Dragon, so there's no aid coming. And you take a look at this, the angle that Gen.G is trying to do this dragon from, they're slowly trying to apply Ren stacks so the Kalista can maybe do something. Everyone is on a different pace, they're literally in different galaxies with their ideas in this team fight, because they all just get torn asunder. There's no real way for Azir to fight here. The Vel'Koz poking from such a long range, making it very difficult, and if Gen.G tries to pull the trigger running into KT, that wouldn't work out that well. They were already withered down on their HP values. Jace does end up dying in the end, but this is a Windows mode, first-person view of Kuro.
Yep, he does like to get into that window mode just a little bit. That was good old Koro. And gets his Super Soaker down. And I actually really like how the Glacial Augment Vel'Koz works in these team fights, because he can just stand back and control the battlefield. And against something like a Cosmic Radiance, where you really want to be able to understand exactly when your opponent is going to engage and then counter it, it's very good to be able to, you know, have all of that extra CC, extra slow to be able to lock things down. Yeah, he still has that R button, and he's just going to use it here for fun. And again, Speedy takes down that kill. So a bit of extra money there. You can see 2,000 in his back pocket as now Rascal's in trouble. But Someone not going to be stepping too far forward as he has 3 serrated Dirks worth of items right now as far as that lethality is concerned. He's very scary. Yeah.
And at this point, KT, with this advantage, they're in such a commanding position because the champions that should be able to jump onto that Vel'Koz in the mid-late transition, they're not going to be able to because they're all stifled at this stage of the game. 2.5 minutes till another Ocean Dragon comes up, but the Azir is struggling to get any sort of meaningful items. Also, Black Cleaver on set. I'm not going to waste my breath on it anymore. Lost to Shopkeeper strikes once again.
Yeah, thanks, Shakarez. Letting us know exactly what the right term is. It's 5,000 gold is going to be the lead. Baron is available, and it looks like KT are just going to walk over to it. Vision now there for Gen.G, but it looks like KT just want to make sure that Gen.G are in the area, opting in for a fight that they can't take, and Ruler definitely can't. He's already down extraordinarily low. A lot of buttons missing there on KT's side, though, which is going to mean that they have to back away. As Kuro just being a bit of a squiddy there. I like that when Vel'Koz goes too fast, he is absolutely just the Sentinels from the Matrix. Yeah. Just 100%. Yeah. Even if he's not using the skin, that is absolutely the Sentinel from the Matrix skin.
I'm really happy that we're seeing Vel'Koz here, though, again. And I really hope that we're going to see Xerath, too. These are champions I know on the LCK broadcast have been very vocal about for months now. Are possible, they are meta answers. Took a while to see Kalista. That was another one in January talking about her. And it's nice to see slow evolutions that are happening to the meta. And it's good to see that Azir might actually have to finally become afraid if people can really start piloting the Vel'Koz and the Xerath, because those are the two champions, they'll straighten Azir up.
I actually think it's really cool that Kuro's playing it, though, because he's always been a Vel'Koz player, right? He's always had this in his back pocket. It's very similar to when we see, you know, BDD and Ixu picking up the Zillion. They're sort of our resident Zillion players. I think everyone can remember back to when Faker was playing it a whole lot as well, but hasn't seen very much time in the meta and is one of those champions that requires a bit of play time to really figure out, you know? And I think Vel'Koz does fit in a very similar vein because he's so squishy. It's all about positioning, and that's something that Kuro's always been good at in his career. Being able to stand back, be patient, and then take the opportunities when they're safest and most intelligent. And seeing now over to the side, not going to be going for any sort of fights or anything like that, but this is once again like a specialty pick, which is what we want to see more of, right? Because it really does give teams different identities based on the players that they have. It's not just everyone playing Aatrox, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that champion falling away along, as well as the jungle starting to really round out. Not as much Lee Sin and Elise all the time as it used to be. The Sinners they're fading away.
Okay, but there's a big Emperor's Divide. Huge flash right into the backline there as Bono's looking for something. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far, but interruption immediately. And Kuro's not going to be able to do anything in this fight. Gen.G have answered back, and they've answered back strong as there's the flash in from Cleared. They are not done yet. So on. Still very powerful, but Gen.G look like they want to be taking down this turret, and we'll see where they're going to go next with only 2 members alive on KT's side.
BDD with a hero play in the mid lane right now to put Gen.G back on the map. They're going to finally raise the mid-tier 1 turret. And remember, Alice, the top and bottom tier 1 turrets still exist. That is a lot of standing gold that'll eventually get picked up. So the gold score at the top is actually going to be really even. This kind of a one team fight, bringing the game now to Soul Point, is really crucial because they got shutdowns as well. Now take a look at this. Kakarot himself going in, putting everything on his back once again. As Rascal comes in, he gets interrupted by Bono, lands the superplex, has the flash to reposition for the face breaker. The Jace just can't do anything in this team fight, and it was a really opportunistic capture by BDD inside of that team fight. I mean, I want to say that he won the POG vote if they win, but
oh, no, you can't do that, Kenny.
You know how it is. Who else can we give it to there?
I think that was all about Rascal. Landed a really great ultimate. Got his haymaker, and look, BDD can't get it because he died, didn't he? So it's not very impressive. So yeah, that's my justification. There we go. Chilling complete. It is going to mean that Gen.G are certainly, like you were saying, right back into the driver's seat, and that was all BDD. So unfortunately, if this game continues down this path, I don't think there's going to be any way that we can say anything otherwise. So let's just hope that KT win. I think that's where it's going to have to be from here.
I need Gen.G to win. I predicted that.
Oh no! Whatever happens, someone loses.
Yeah.
And it's mostly Chovy. As KT looking to clear out some vision. And once again, playing around this Baron. They do have a lot of control wards in this area. But now we've got 3.5 minutes on the clock, and Gen.G will be able to split the map very effectively against KT because KT cannot let an Ocean Soul go without a fight.
Yeah. So 3 minutes until that comes up. Kalista trying to get to, I believe, the Vampiric Scepter. I would be very surprised, actually, if Rilla picks up a stopwatch and just goes for the Guardian Angel next as a means to still have relevance inside of a team fight. The problem is this Vel'Koz is going to be so hard to get onto for this next fight. So Sun Turret raised here in the mid lane. KT going to try to raise that really quickly. And
should be able to take that down.
Yeah, set full armor and HP right now, although he does have a null magic mantle. He's going to start building towards magic resistance soon. Gen.G clearing out vision on the left-hand side, and if you're KT, it all comes down to this next dragon. They're going to be on the back foot, and they need to probably win 3 or 4 more team fights to really end this game. Whereas Gen.G, if they win 1, they end. They're just going to get the Ocean Soul no matter what, because every single fight will be conducted either around Baron or it's going to be around Ocean Soul. Both of which, if Gen.G gets it, they can close out. KT gets Ocean once, okay, it doesn't do enough. If they get Baron once, Gen.G is still going to be able to hold on, bring the fight to yet another Ocean Soul fight. And then KT, they have to keep winning them over and over and over. And that's the scary thing about Soul Point.
Yeah. And now aiming, he's got his 3 items, but Ruler is hot on his heels as far as that is concerned. We've still got only 1 turret being taken down here from Gen.G. You mentioned the standing gold. That is something that Gen.G are going to be able to continue picking up as this game goes forward. Cleared has his Zhonya's Hourglass completed. Actually going to be very late on the Proto Belt, so not going to have the dash cannon available too early. I find it interesting that he's still going for it. It might actually be something like a Spirit Visage instead, because I feel like it's a little bit too late for Proto Belt to come in, but we'll see what Clid does decide to do. Is now Kuro just clearing out minions here towards the top side. And he's very close to picking up his Rabadon's Death Cap, which will actually be a really big power spike for this Vel'Koz, who's already got a couple of items already completed. But I think that observing what Kuro's doing in these next fights is going to be so important.
Yeah, the Vel'Koz is really the king, or if you're a chess fan, the queen of the KT team composition. Maybe Vel'Koz is both. Maybe Vel'Koz, he has so much knowledge. He's every piece.
He's actually an entire monarchy. He's just a monarchy. That's
he's the board itself.
Yeah, exactly. He's even checkers. He's not even just chess. He's also checkers. He's like every possible game on a black and white square board. As KT move back towards the bottom side, we've got 30 seconds before they have to fight for their lives once again. And let's hope that they're going to be able to make it a little bit more of an exciting one, because last time it was just BDD sweeping them under the rug. And now I want to see KT be able to actually fight back. I want to see one of those big disintegration rays from Kuro. As Bono is getting into position, and Gen.G losing out a little bit on the K-Ram.
Yeah, this is a bit peculiar, the positioning. They might actually just try to say, you know what, hey,
That's a big flanking teleport. Good double knockup does come down as Kuro wants to stay safe, but there's the Phase Breaker once again into the back line. The big sweep onto 3 members as it's Ruler that's fallen down. Clit also going very low. The tanky boys in the back line are really tearing apart Gen.G. BDD now trying to get around, does manage to take down the Varus. Goes golden as well, but this is a quadra kill. Almost a penta, and it is for So1. Well deserved for the Jace player. And he will be able to take his team to Baron and deny the Ocean Soul.
And so they end up winning that. So1 is actually just going to solo the Ocean, as it does currently stand. So he's going to pick that up, as well as the Penta for himself. And that team fight, Rascal had a lot of options that he could have gone for, but he went for one that I think actually hurt his team more, and it gave KT good positioning. The Vel'Koz was completely unthreatened in that team fight. Jace also able to rain down so much damage inside of that fight as well. And now KT, you can see Gen.G, they're barreling over towards the left-hand side. There's not a whole lot of damage. This Baron has taken a lot of time to end up getting it. They finally capture it in the end. They're probably going to go to replay in a second here. So take a look at this. KT, they come out of the river. Taric ultimate comes in. Look at BDD. And pay attention to Set. Hello? He goes for aiming. Aiming flashes to reposition rather than the Vel'Koz. And then immediately just Vel'Koz gets to do everything. Gets to throw down the CC, gets to throw down so much damage. Jace is able to do so much as well, because Varus is going to be the most nimble of them all in terms of being able to reposition and do things. So a little bit bizarre. Take a look
at
the
replay
replay
one more time.
more time.
Perspective, and I think you're right. I think the Superplex was a big problem. The fact that the beam was lasting so long, and it meant that Gen.G just had no health bars, and this was a dream scenario for this Jace. He was able to get a cheeky auto attack on a control ward in the middle of the fight, and was still able to get a pentakill.
He came over with Mjolnir?
Mjolnir?
Okay.
Is that Thor's hammer? Yeah.
I would have, you know, if Valdez was here, he wouldn't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I think we might have both butchered the pronunciation.
Yeah, we probably did.
Yeah, my Norse accent is just not as strong. I've watched a lot of Vikings and stuff like that, but I don't think it's quite enough, to be honest. As we've got a bit of a siege here towards the bottom side. We'll see whether KT can break the base right now, as you got BDD lying in wait. KT probably not going to be giving up any ground at this point. 3 minutes still on the clock, and still KT have a lot of pressure on them. They have a 7,000 gold lead, but that Ocean Soul is still so important and still something that Gen.G can use as a crush. And we'll see whether KT can get themselves an advantage to the point where it's going to be impossible for Gen.G to actually move out of their base and attempt to take it. As you can see, the poke is really starting to be a problem, as KT with their 2 Ocean Souls are able to keep themselves healthy and just stay in a phalanx and take down these inhibitors and inhibitor turrets just via war of attrition.
You can see they're trying to move towards mid lane. So one of the things I want to talk about here is because they didn't have any other champions in mid to immediately push, this Baron doesn't do as much damage as it could have. And what I mean by that is they raised the bottom inhibitor turret, but that's going to be the lane that Gen.G are always going to be in close proximity to. So this is actually the invert to the Baron for the blue team. And okay, hold on.
Yeah, it does depend whether Rascal just dies or not, as he does get a Haymaker out eventually. Don't know whether it's going to be enough, though, as there's the flash from Bono. He should be able to lock this one down. And good night, Mr. Top Laner. Rascal, again, it feels like the jitters that were ensuing in their previous series are once again there for Rascal. He's just seemed on a different page to his team throughout this this series, as well as their previous one.
Well, the one upside, though, is that he did get the flash out of Bono. So even though he died, we have to ask ourselves what really occurs inside of the Death Timer. They should be able
Whoa, that's a big ulti.
Okay.
Got a bit of an engage here, but it looks like KT just using that aggression in order to take down the inhibitor turret. 2 inhibitors now. It's gotten more difficult for Gen.G to fight for the next Drake, as 8,000 gold is the lead here. A very cool hat on our Void Monster in the mid lane. And yeah, Jace needs absolutely no introduction at the moment. Does have himself his stopwatch and might actually just have a GA on his next back. As this is a good pickoff, but what was Rascal doing here?
Well, that's a pretty frequent question sometimes, especially in this series for Gen.G, as the one upside is that Bono did need to flash to get the kill, so he will be flashless for the next team fight. So maybe that's an upside, but it did come at the cost of losing the mid inhibitor. So these are the 2 lanes that Gen.G are always going to be in close proximity to while trying to protect and fight for that Ocean Drake. But if they end up losing it, it can definitely spell the end of the game. So while they are in position right now, they have also a lot of time. As you can take a look at the mid and bot minion waves. Still pretty...
KT? Oh, they're looking to try and win the game instead of fighting.
They're going to try to do the Hanwha Light. Oh, what?
And Gen.G going to pull back. Everyone's going back because they realize they can lose the game. And now KT going to go over to the Drake. I actually like that plan because now Ocean Drake has just spawned. So even if Gen.G had stayed in the area, it would have been an impossible choice to make. It's like, do we lose the game or do we take the Ocean Soul? And the answer is going to be losing the Ocean Soul this time around. So Soul Point for both teams, and triple Ocean Soul just in its own right is going to be very frustrating, as Clit is going to be able to at least get his big Raptor, and KT looking for one last reset before they fight over another Baron.
Yeah, and this is really nice to see. For KT, they've managed to bring the game all the way back. And the Jace, I know that we said very early on that he wouldn't really be that relevant. Well, when he has 9 kills and a massive CS lead over his opponent, and full build here.
6 items is pretty good, apparently.
It's all right. Not the end of the world, but he is monstrous inside of this game. It's a 7,000 gold lead right now for KT. In terms of what that actually means, though, I mean, it is a lot. It's mostly the Jace is where a lot of the gold is right now. Everyone else is on pretty even footing in terms of where their items do stand. The Bel'Kaz is monstrous inside of this game. So KT are still going to be favored at the Baron, but as the timer draws on and on, gold leads start to mean less and less because all item completions are coming in, or at least relevant ones anyway.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about execution. And what this game has been telling us so far is that KT have been executing very, very well. And I think the top difference is a big problem here for Gen.G, as someone is so incredibly huge inside this game. Of course, set will always have relevance, but it's whether or not Rascal's going to be able to get on the same pages of his team and get the fights happening exactly as they want. As in goes Bono, he instantly cleanses as ulti traded for Summoner Spell. Sun Turret going to help take down these minions as well, as KT are just going to move on in here. And this time they have the Varus, so this will be a much faster Baron this time around. As you've got KT, they're starting it with a couple of people, and we've got Kuro and so on as bouncers in this area, but they have got so much vision. As I don't know whether Gen.G are even going to be able to get here. There's the Spooky Ghost. Clid getting taken down very, very low. There's Redemption to come in. Teleport pretty late there from Rascal. We still have the turn from KT. Tucson does nail the knockup. Honda only beat it either. Flash is going to come out there from aiming, but Clid just going to steal away his ultimate, and they are going to run. KT using a lot of their precious buttons, and Gen.G not actually losing out on too much. Kuro having to flash. That's a big deal as well, but no one's to die just yet.
Oh, Gen.G are absolutely posturing right now, trying to just wait to continue to wither them down. As
the bot
every
lane
shock
inhibitor
blast
might actually just fall to minions.
Yeah.
As KT just waiting around here. Set looking for a flank, but not going to be able to find it. And KT go back to all of the vision control that they had built up for themselves. Another minion wave going to pile in towards this bottom lane. And Gen.G, this might just be a last-ditch effort to try and stop this Baron, because it's likely that the game is just over before we even get to the next Ocean Drake. In goes Clid.
What?
A little bit early on the blast cone there. There's now Tucson still looking for more. Cosmic Radiance is available. We don't have Chains of Corruption or the Glacial Fissure on KT's side. Bono has his ult back up. Now Kellen going to get knocked up. Fate's Call will be available. He uses it pretty late there, but does soak up a lot of damage. As Rascal can't actually quite find anything there on the backside, as Kuro is going to be still alive here, and BDD is going to fall. Disintegration Ray going to work towards the very end there, but aiming has already fallen. It's 2 for 1 so far though, and KT still barreling, looking for Rascal, who gets slowed down. Bono still needs to try and catch up. There's the face breaker. Good knockup comes in, as Haymaker's not going to be able to keep him alive for too much longer. And there's the permafrost. Bono goes golden, as now Clid's trying to fight this one out. Tucson very, very low, but not going to be falling just yet, as now Ruler trying to dance around this fight. Bono back in once again as the Jace grabs the kill. Great knock up there from Kuro. He's going to lock down that kill, and now the ace comes in. It is the double kill for the Vel'Koz, and that will be game for KT.
KT are going to, I mean, come into this game, and they fought back really well in the early stage to then take over in the mid game. They just outmuscled them in a team fight right there, as Kellen, he ends up respawning. BDD is almost there as well, but the other members from the side of KT have joined the fray. Sun Turret and a Shrima Shuffle could come up. It might not be... No, it should absolutely be over.
Yep, this is 100% the end of the game. As there's another disintegration rate. BDD is going to go into his Zhonya's. The exhaust comes out, but the Birdman is definitely going to die. Emperor's Divide comes in, but the Nexus is already dead, guys, and KT will walk away with a Game 1 victory.
And, well, that was something for a game number 1. The Jace managed to really get a big swing in power around that random team fight 2 minutes before the
random
Ocean
pentakill.
Yeah,
and I think this is the first pentakill for a non-AD carry in the LCK.
Yeah.
For the 2020 season. So congratulations to So On. A very easy POG choice this time around. If it's not 9 out of 9, then something really weird's gone on. Because that was very impressive. KT continuing to look better and better. And the really cool thing about KT now is that they get to go into the spring finals in 4th place, so they'll have side selection all the way up the gauntlet, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no. So they'll have side selection in the wildcard match, and then they won't for the next best of 5s, but they'll be able to stay in the playoffs for the entire time if they're actually able to win everything. And that's great practice moving into a final. We saw T1 do that only a couple of years ago, where they were able to just run the gauntlet. This is a great look for KT if they're able to win Game 2. Of course, we are getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit, but today, KT look like the better team.
Yeah, I mean, KT look like they are much more coordinated than Gen.G. And the other thing for me is that Rascal looked so off.
Yeah.
That was one of the most... trying to think of a... I can't think of anything that would be apt to describe the gameplay that came out in that game number 1. Really just seemed like he was having an off game. Sure, let's go with yikes.
Yeah, it was a bit yikes. And it wasn't necessarily like his mechanics were off or anything like that. It felt like his communication was just not there. with the rest of his team. His teleports were weird. Like, he actually played this situation relatively well until the flash ultimate came in. And so on, not picking up the turret aggro was something that he wasn't necessarily prepared for. As KT were eventually able to grab that dive. But there were just a few of these team fights that just worked too well for the KT composition when theoretically Gen.G should have been able to do well. I mean, this Emperor's Divide was fantastic, but then So1 diving into the backline and eliminating the Kalista before she could do anything was just honestly the end of Gen.G is what it felt like in this game. From this team fight onwards, it felt like KT had all the control. Yeah,
KT after this team fight, and this was fought over, I mean, remember, the initial pentakill fight, or not the initial, the right-hand side fight that was over nothing was surprising. This almost managed to bring Gen.G back into the game. And it's very surprising that they got this Hail Mary, but then still kept getting outmuscled in future teamfights, because that's not what Gen.G is really known for. They're the super conservative, safe, calculated team that we've seen so far out of the top three.
Well.
Right, consistence, the other very important one. As this was another one, he had all the time in the world to plan who he was going to suplex. He brought aiming into the fight. There was no way to actually capture him, and then Varus would be the best at repositioning and trying to do something meaningful inside of this.
Congratulations on the Penta for So1, but I feel like the way you want to play Set in a game like this is to pick up the front line that is trying to peel and then throw him into the back line and do that extra damage onto these squishies that rely so much on repositioning. Of course, hindsight is 20/20, but it just might have been that Rascal had the wrong idea of how to play out these team fights that that KT were picking up control of very consistently. And it felt like Bono was fantastic in the front line as well, able to keep himself alive for exactly the right amount of time, to gather as much aggro as possible, and make sure that Kuro and Aiming could do what they were designed to do, and So1 as well, of course, who had a fantastic game on the Jace. And I really like when picks like this Jace that we're seeing right here with his gigantic damage numbers, but when we were in the draft, you were talking about him seeming off theme.
Yeah.
But this was So1 just feeling himself here today, and it didn't matter that his champion didn't necessarily fit. He played it exactly how KT needed him to, and really managed to take his team to a victory. So this was a game of the top side of the map really carrying.
Yep. The Jace exploded in that mid-game fight. As you can see, the goal difference over time really does paint the picture. I'm really happy that we get to see Vel'Koz. That is another thing that I look forward to. We'll see if we get any more exciting picks in game number 2, and how Gen.G is going to actually manage to try to bring this back, because it does look scary. It looks like KT can just stand up to them and maybe even smack them here 2-0.
Well, we'll see whether they can do that, as we will have a bit of a side switch, so maybe Gen.G will be able to utilize that as we move into game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, just after this short break.